Hello and welcome to Primetime News on Mitv. I'm Victor Daniels. In the news, Vice President Kashim Shettima says that the reforms of President Bola Tinubu's administration are beginning to restore the confidence of the global community in Nigeria, with the foreign professionals now rolling in certification program within the country. Speaking at the inaugural convocation of the Nigerian Procurement Certification Program at the Presidential Villa, Abuja, the Vice President, represented by the Deputy Chief of Staff to the President, Senator Ibrahim Hadija, described the graduation of 2,100 certified procurement professionals from Nigeria and abroad as a major milestone under the renewed Hope agenda. He said the participation of foreign professionals reflects a growing trust in Nigerians' reform efforts and a shift away from mediocrity in public procurement, stressing that transparent and strategic procurement is now central to governance and national development. Vice President Shettima charged the graduates to uphold integrity, transparency, and patriotism, describing them as custodians of public trust whose decision would directly impact the national development. He commended the Bureau of Public Procurement, the SPESSE project, the World Bank, and other development partners for strengthening institutions and rebuilding public trust. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Procurement, Senator Olajide, pledged the National Assembly's support for the sustainability of the program, while the BPP Director General, Dr. Adebowale Adedogun, announced the presidential approval for the deployment of community-based procurement officers nationwide. The World Bank also urged other African countries to emulate Nigeria's procurement reform model, describing it as a benchmark for transparency and accountability in public service.
The second aspect I wanted to highlight is the Nigeria Procurement Certification Program. To date, over 2,000, to be precise, 2,075 professionals have been certified across 3 tiers, establishing a benchmark for competence and professionalism. Congratulations to this achievement as well. Last but not least, e-procurement pilots. Being introduced in 15 major and high-spending MDAs, e-procurement is designed to foster competition, efficiency, and transparency while minimizing human interference and improving data quality and accessibility. These are all embedded in procurement, in the gold standard procurement principles that Hiba referred to. With today's inaugural convocation, we look forward to a future marked by stronger performance in the procurement system, greater value for money in budget implementation, and a significant reduction in procurement-related systemic challenges in Nigeria.
At the Federal Executive Council, the BPP for seeing this through and for organizing this public dialogue session. The World Bank, program managers, facilitators, and all stakeholders who made this possible. To the graduates, you are now ambassadors of reform, bearing in mind that this program was established to address the various challenges facing procurement sector in Nigeria. I charge you today to deploy the knowledge you have gained with the highest level of professionalism, integrity, and courage, transparency, and patriotism in the service of our nation. Let me quickly remind the BPP to send a bill to the 10th House of Representatives for the amendment of the 2007 Procurement Act. The amendment is necessary and it is overdue.
If the individuals who operated are ethical, accountable, and fully trained. Subsequently, the intervention we are currently witnessing is not an isolated incident, but a component of a more extensive reform trajectory that will shape Nigeria's procurement practices for decades to come. As a result, I urge all procurement officers in the civil and public service to enroll in the program. Professional proficiency must no longer be optional. In addition, I encourage private sector organizations to enroll their procurement officers in order to capitalize on this certification. State procurement regulatory agencies are required to enhance their collaboration with the BPP in the areas of capacity development, compliance, and audit functions, while professional bodies and associates are encouraged to work closely with the BPP as well. The reform of procurement must be national in scope in order for it to be effective and comprehensive.
All programs offered by the Centers of Excellence are fully aligned with national systems approved by the NUC, listed on the Central Admission Processing System of JAM, and recognized by the National Youth Service Corps, thereby ensuring that institutional legitimacy and continuity beyond the life of the project is guaranteed. So it's not just going to be another World Bank-supported project that will fizzle out. We're entrenching it within our existing national structures so that upon the closure of the project or withdrawal of the support of the World Bank, the program will continue to run. BPP is doing the same because what we are launching today is not necessarily a requirement of the World Bank-supported program, but an initiative of the BPP to entrench these into our national system so that it can continue to run even beyond the lifespan of SPACE as a World Bank-supported project.
1,500 who are already undergoing this training and are due to be certified before the end of this year. I want to sincerely extend my appreciation again and again to Mr. President for the support he has given to this program. In December last year, the Federal Executive Council approved an extension of this program by providing additional financing as a result of Mr. President's commitment to the success of this program. This is an evidence that federal government has put in place mechanisms to reduce corruption and prevent access to funds that are meant for development of this country. In conclusion, I want to assure our participants who are being given this honor today to realize that failure to help government to deliver on this project will not be taken for granted.
The Senate has constituted a 7-member ad hoc committee to harmonize and distill the senators' inputs on the proposed amendment of the Electoral Act as lawmakers intensify efforts to strengthen Nigeria's electoral framework ahead of the 2027 general elections. The decision followed a 3-hour closed-door executive session held on Thursday, during which senators further scrutinized the Electoral Act bill currently before the National Assembly. Announcing the outcome of the session, Senator President Godswill Akpabio said the committee was set to sensitize the lawmakers' views and address the outstanding concerns on the proposed amendments. Other members of the committee are Adamu Alero, Aminu Tambuwa, Adams Shomole, Danjua Goje, Tony Nwoye, and Title Zem. Akpabio added that the committee has a maximum of 3 days to conclude its assignment and submit its report to the Senate by Tuesday.
At closed session on the ongoing amendment to the Electoral Act 2022, the Senate has set up a small committee to further make contributions, galvanize, distill all the opinions of distinguished senators and present them to us for final deliberation on Tuesday. The committee, not in particular order of ranking, has chosen, for technical reasons, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Judiciary and Legal Matters, distinguished Senator Niyi Adegbomire, as chairman, and has also included very ranking senators as members. Distinguished Senator Adamu Alero, Distinguished Senator Waziri Tamboa, Distinguished Senator Adams Oshimole, Distinguished Senator Mohammed Goje, Distinguished Senator Tony Woye, Distinguished Senator Taitu Zam as members. The committee has 48 hours or at most 3 days within which to conclude its assignments and refer to the Senate before our next plenary, which comes up on Tuesday. The clerk of the Senate will be the secretary of this committee. Accordingly, with the permission of the Senate, this chamber is the...
And in another development, the Senate has inaugurated an ad hoc committee to investigate the award and execution of railway contracts nationwide amid the growing concerns over declining services on major roads. The resolution followed the point of order raised at plenary on Thursday by Senator Abdul Ningi, who drew attention to what he described as a strategic or tragic deterioration on the Kano-Kaduna rail line. He told the chamber that the train frequency on the route has dropped to just one trip daily, while cargo travel time has stretched from about 1 hour 30 minutes to nearly 3 hours. Backing the claims, Senator Adamu Alero said the reduced trips were partly due to extensive damage to rail infrastructure caused by bandit attacks along the corridor. The Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, however, dismissed the suggestions that funding alone was responsible for the challenges. He argued that the core problem lies in the age and quality of the rail infrastructure, describing some sections as substandard and poorly executed. Akpabio also said the situation calls for a thorough legislative probe into how railway contracts were designed, awarded, and implemented. The committee's investigation expected to examine the project design, funding execution standards, and maintenance frameworks with recommendations expected to guide reforms in Nigeria's rail sector.
To Kaduna, the 10,000 passengers they were doing a day was reduced to about 800 to 900. The 10 shuttling that we're doing a day was reduced, Mr. President, 2 times in a day. And I was made aware that while the railway was working on full capacity, they were, of course, creating a revenue of close to 1.8 billion monthly. The story I'm about to reel out, Mr. President, that at this moment, there is no live cargo except one that goes to Kaduna and sleep and come back in the morning to Abuja. What that tells you, I was a subcommittee chairman of SHAPI, the government of Goodluck Jonathan then formed billions of naira into that revenue, into that airline, railway. But what is amazing and Nigerians are unaware of is that everything that came in terms of the cargo and coaching were second-handed.
It is true that the number of trips has dropped drastically from 5 to only 1 And this is simply because the bandits have damaged the truck. And they have vandalized the trucks, and it takes a lot of time and resources. And these resources are not available. As you rightly know, even contractors that have finished their jobs, they are now finding it difficult to get paid. So the same problem is now extending to the services like Nigeria Railway Corporation. We are on it. I called the Minister of Transportation and also the MD Railway Corporation to discuss this issue almost on a weekly basis. And I have been putting a lot of pressure on him that, look, this rail line used to be the pride of the nation.
Rail coaches. What about the rail tracks? Why second hand? So we have a responsibility as a Senate, founded in the Nigerian Constitution, to ask questions, to look into these things, and to correct them. We have always said that we're a corrective parliament. So we must look into these things and let Nigerians know where they went wrong. And if there are people that kept the money for us, saved the money for us to buy the second-hand ones, then we get them to bring back the money. From their hands alone, we can recover enough money to repair the coaches you are talking about, if we need to repair them. Or we ask for a total refurbishment. That's why we want a holistic look into this. So the distinguished Senator Adams Oshimole, if he's here, we had set up a committee under you to look into this railway system. Look at the rail tracks, look at the coaches and everything, and why they were failing. And why it would take, like he said, 3.5 hours for something that should take 25 minutes to Kaduna by the modern railway standard.
The House of Representatives has moved to investigate claims of discriminatory recruitment at the University of Calabar Teaching Hospital. The lawmakers acted on a motion by Honorable Igarwe Iduma, who alleged that the hospital's chief medical director rejected 17 medical graduates posted for housemanship based on their state of origin and ethnic group background. The House described the allegation as a violation of the Constitution and the federal character principle, warning it could worsen Nigeria's shortage of medical personnel. The Committee on Health Institutions was mandated to probe the matter and report within 4 weeks, while the Federal Ministry of Health was urged to suspend the CMD to avoid interference. The lawmakers also raised alarm over the rise in poverty and hunger across the country, particularly in the Northeast. And adopting a motion sponsored by Honorable Khadija Buka, the House called for an urgent agricultural recovery programs, noting that over 139 million Nigerians are living below the poverty line, with millions at risk of severe food insecurity. The motion was referred to relevant committees for further actions.
Concerned that Professor Ikpeme's conduct is further compounding the challenges confronting our healthcare system and the efforts of the current administration, being that Nigeria's fragile healthcare system is facing a critical manpower deficit, as the number of licensed doctors has dropped to about 40,000, far below the estimated 300,000 needed to adequately serve Nigeria's healthcare needs. Mr. Speaker, this House frowns at the conduct of this highly placed federal officer that encourages brain drain in the health sector and, more importantly, further fractures the delicate ethnic fault lines of our union, leading to divisiveness, insecurity, and instability. Mr. Speaker, the House resolves to 1. Mandate the Committee on Health Institutions to immediately commence investigation of the allegations contained in this motion and report back to the House within 4 weeks. Secondly, call for immediate suspension of Professor Ikpeme Asanye Ikpeme by the Federal Ministry of Health to ensure he does not interfere with the investigation to be conducted by the Committee on Health Institutions. Mr. Speaker, my respected colleagues, I so move.
To strengthen and harmonize ongoing national poverty reduction, food security, and post-conflict agricultural recovery initiatives with deliberate focus on agrarian communities affected by insecurity. Mandate the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, in collaboration with relevant MDAs and aid to mainstream farmers in the Northeast into existing agricultural recovery programs by providing timely access to farm inputs, credit support, extension services, mechanisms, irrigation, storage, and value chain development to restore livelihoods and boost food production. Mandate the appropriate committee of the House to intensify oversight on agricultural recovery, poverty alleviation, and food security interventions, particularly in conflict-affected regions.
In a related development, the House of Representatives has passed the President Bola Tinubu's 58.47 trillion naira 2026 budget proposal for second reading. House Leader Professor Julius Ihonbiri said the budget is built on microeconomic stability, improved security, and increased capital spending, with 26.08 trillion naira allocated to capital projects. Key sectors prioritized in the budget include security, infrastructure, education, and health, with increased capital spending. The House further adjourned its plenary session for 2 weeks to allow the committees to scrutinize the proposal ahead of the further legislative consideration.
If you look at the budget breakdown, I won't bore you with all the details. The government has prioritized security and defense, which borders all of us. And what my dear sister, Honorable Khadija, just presented is anchored on the problem of food insecurity caused mostly by general insecurity in the land, with 5.41 trillion of the budget. Infrastructure, which we all suffer from, at 3.56 trillion. Education, 3.54 trillion. Health at 2.48 trillion. Other areas follow, agric, police affairs, etc. So by the time you add police and other security expenditures to what has been put on defense and insecurity, you can imagine where we are going to. And with the current cooperation with other countries, from the EU to the United States, you can be rest assured that we'll have a whole new era and approach to tackling the issue of security with the massive recruitment that has been ordered by the President into that sector. So I invite you, my dear colleagues, to support this budget as presented.
The Lagos State government has commenced a statewide sensitization rally for the measles, rubella, and routine immunization campaign aimed at protecting children and adolescents from vaccine-preventable diseases across all local government areas and local council development areas in the state. Leading the campaign from Ikeja to Alausa Secretariat, the Permanent Secretary of Lagos State Primary Health Care Board, Dr. Ibrahim Akinwumi Mustafa, said the initiative aligns with the national and global immunization targets, with a strong focus on preventing measles and rubella, two highly contagious diseases with serious public health consequences. Dr. Mustafa explained that measles remains one of the leading causes of vaccine-preventable childhood illness, while rubella infection during pregnancy can result in congenital rubella syndrome, causing heart defect, cataract, hearing impairment, and developmental delays in infants. The State Immunization Program Coordinator, Dr. Akinpelu Adiola, stressed that sustained immunization efforts are crucial to reducing child morbidity and mortality, providing school attendance, and fostering long-term economic and social development. The Director of Health Education and Promotion of LSPHCB, Onov Grace Adeshola, described the routine immunization as a proven and effective intervention against diseases such as polio, tuberculosis, whooping cough, diphtheria, cervical cancer, and other preventable illness.
We want people to be aware that this measles rubella vaccine is now introduced into our routine immunization schedule. But for this time that we are introducing it, it's going to be like a campaign. And for the next 10 to 12 days, we will be having children between the ages of 9 months and 14 years will be vaccinated with the measles rubella vaccine. Subsequently, we will now include it in our routine immunization, and children will be expected to have the vaccine when they are 9 months and when they are 15 months. The essence of what we are doing is to ensure that every child in Lagos is reached with this vaccine. Our target is to have about 10 million children vaccinated. Of course, to do this, we have our staff that will go around the state, around the 57 local government area and LCDAs, to ensure that children found anywhere they can be found are vaccinated. We talk about schools. Our mobile teams will go to schools. We also go to madrasa, we will go to churches, we will go to mosques, we will go to markets. And definitely you can also have access to this vaccine in 345 PHCs across the state. As well, you can visit our secondary health facilities, the general hospitals. You can still have this vaccine there, as well as our teaching hospital. So we just want to ensure that every child in Lagos is reached with this vaccine, and we get to our target of immunizing about 10 million children.
We didn't just do that because you can't take vaccines and just badge onto people. We've had conversations with heads of agencies, all our sister ministries within the government. We sat down with community leaders, we sat down with traditional leaders, religious leaders, educational sector, just to ensure that the information is out there to everybody. Because like we say, it's an informed choice. You need to have heard about it, you need to know the benefits before you make that decision that you need to take this vaccine. And what we would say is this: the measles rubella vaccine is a new step in protecting our children against vaccine preventable diseases, especially the rubella virus, which has not been part of our routine immunization. So please, let's embrace it. Let's ensure that our children take this opportunity to get the vaccine. It's for children from 9 months to 14 years. So please avail your children this opportunity to get this vaccine.
We're able to sensitize all our key stakeholders, ranging from traditional leaders, the religious leaders, the market leaders, the CDAC, all of them. We've sensitized them, and they were all aware of this activity. So we've been moving from one place to the other, from one center to the other, to sensitize our community members concerning this measles rubella vaccination campaign that we have started yesterday.
Corporate Accountability and Public Participation Africa, CAPA, has strongly condemned what it described as violent, unlawful, and deeply reprehensible actions by the Lagos state government and the Nigerian police force against hundreds of peaceful protesters who converged on Lagos State House of Assembly to demand justice over alleged illegal demolitions, assaults, and killings. The Media and Communication Officer of CAPA, Robert Egbe, alleged that the security operatives led by the Lagos State Commissioner of Police, Jimoh Moshood, attacked displaced residents who had gathered at the Assembly complex to protest the ongoing demolitions and forced evictions in waterfront and low-income communities across the state. Egbe said the organizations demanded the immediate and unconditional release of Comrade Hassan Taiwo Soweto, a member of the End Bad Governance movement in Lagos State, as well as other demonstrators arrested during the protest. And according to CAPA, Soweto and several peaceful protesters, including Comrade Jacob and Evangelist Isaac Septuagennan from Makoko, were forcefully arrested after the Commissioner of Police allegedly ordered the deployment of tear gas on the crowd. Kappa described the incident as a gross violation of constitutional rights, accusing the Babajide Sanwo-Olu-led administration of sustaining a pattern of repression, lawlessness and cruelty against the poor and displaced communities.
Demolitions in Makoko. Currently, the state has continued to say in the news that it just got into Makoko to demolish houses within a 30 to 100 meter perimeter of a power line, high tension power line. But what has happened is that this demolition has extended far beyond that perimeter, even 500 meters, and has affected 10,000s of people, including women, children, and babies. We're talking about demolition teams sanctioned by the state government that had fired tear gases at a 4-day-old baby, that have, by their actions, caused the deaths of women, children, men, and able-bodied young people that are supposed to be contributing to the economy of this state. So we're asking that the state completely halt all demolitions in Makoko. We're also asking that there should be compensation to victims illegally demolished.
Today is not just a protest to demand shelter for the living. Yes. Today is also a day to demand justice for those whom you have killed. The right to shelter is an inalienable and fundamental human right. And for a Lagos state government that has built no houses for people, to then go over to our slum communities and begin to say that those houses are security threats, those houses in Makoko, Oloki, they don't befit a mega city, they must be wiped up. We say no to them. No!
From the House of Assembly, and we tell them how the situation of our market is. And they said that they will come and they will invite us for a certain dialogue to settle the matter. How the land grabbers will come into an area to the market and destroy them, destroy the market where we are feeding. And we believe this government is the government of the poor people. Just to defend us. The demand is that they should release our market for us, our land. They should release our land for us, because they killed almost about 6 or 7 people when the land grabbers, with the assistance of the government, because they cannot do that without any assistance.
Meanwhile, the Yaba Magistrate Court in Lagos has granted bail to Taiwo Hassan and Dele Frank, who were arrested during the protest against demolitions in some communities in the state. The police arraigned the activists on a 5-count charge bordering on alleged disturbance of public peace. They pleaded not guilty to the charges. The police alleged that the duo threatened to harm members of the public who did not join the protest. They also alleged that the activists sang abusive songs against the Lagos state government in a bid to incite the public. On Wednesday, some residents affected by the demolition in Makoko, Owode, Onirin, Oworoshoki, Otumara, and Babaijoro communities protested at the Keja area of Lagos State. When the protesters arrived at the Lagos Assembly complex, police operatives fired tear gas canisters after the demonstrators insisted on entering in the complex. During the court proceedings, Femi Falana, counsel to the defendants, asked the court to grant the activist bail, but the police counsel told the court that the activists should be granted bail with conditions that will make them understand that the case is serious. The magistrate granted bail to the 2 activists in the sum of 200,000 naira each, with 2 sureties in like sum. The case has been adjourned to March the 3rd, 2026. The Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Mudashiru Basse, has charged the traditional rulers across the state to continue to collaborate closely with the government at all levels to accelerate the grassroots development and promote a peaceful coexistence in the communities. Obasa gave the charge at the one-year coronation event of Oba Adeshola Williams Adeola, where he commended the monarch's leadership style and commitment to community growth. The speaker described the traditional institution as critical partner in governance, noting that their proximity to the people places them in a strategic position to support government policies, mobilize citizens, and foster unity at the grassroots. Obasa urged the youth within the kingdom and across Lagos State to embrace constructive engagement and work with their leaders for the progress of their communities, adding that young people remain a vital force in development, innovation, and social stability, and must be properly guided and encouraged to channel their energy positively. On his part, Oba Adeshola Williams Adeola affirmed the commitment to peace, development, and inclusive leadership in his domain, while pledging to continue working with government authorities, community stakeholders, and the youth to advance the welfare of the people.
We are not permitting your efforts in making development, making our town very more developed than what it was. We strongly believe we can achieve this collaboration with the chairman of this and we are counting on you. We want to urge you to continue to support our KBC in everything he is doing. And I've seen a lot in this. I'm sure he has more to offer. And with our support, definitely is going to get there. As I've said, we must be part of this.
With God, with our chairman, Madam Oluyemi. We're still in January. I know by middle of this year, I would say all what I want to do regarding the youth for now. But trust me, a lot of beautiful things will happen.
Your State Governor Seyi Makinde says his administration has institutionalized the merit-based system in the state, revealing that more institutions would be created before the end of his tenure to strengthen the governance and accountability in the state. The governor stated this at a symposium organized as part of the activities marking the 50th anniversary of the state, held at the International Conference Center at University of Ibadan. The governor maintained that the foundation of his administration governance philosophy was the strengthening of institutions rather than empowering individuals, noting that strong institutions guarantee stability and continuity in governance. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, commended the people of your state for their generosity and prayed for the state to continue to grow from strength to strength. While delivering his lecture themed Consolidating Past Legacies, Managing the Present and Envisioning the Future, Professor Olu Ajakai said the governor arrived in office with a clear roadmap for development inspired by historical Western regional programs, and adding that the vision has evolved into a sustainable development plan, yielding a significant result. Mitv correspondent Kevin Oke reports that highlight of the event was a special fashion show, making the past governors and administration of the state since creation in 1976.
In our state, we've moved away from, man or what they call party type of this administration at the end of the day will be supported to create the institutions that will guarantee good governance in our state well beyond the tenure of this market.
And the other state is blessed with gemstones, industrial minerals, metallic minerals, and so on. The Oyo State government has already established a mineral deposit agency and is promoting investment in solid minerals. For optimal benefits, the government and people must own solid minerals, not that foreigners will come and exploit it and benefit without our people benefiting.
Oyo State as it is needs a lot of synergy so as to help the Southwest build the regional integration that we need. Having a powerful regional integration in our state can send this signal to the other parts of the country to borrow from. The other parts of the country borrow from the western region and the western states, and that shows.
Celebrating Oyo at 50 is iconic because we can see that what the current governor, Engineer Seyi Makinde, has done has really elevated the state to be able to celebrate this 50-year anniversary and thump his chest that we are actually 50. A lot of things that are needed to be done have been put in place. The infrastructure is there, the policies are there. Look at the iconic infrastructure like the circular road, the airport, and all the inter and intracity infrastructure we are seeing. These are the things that make Oyo State hold this place up.
The Anambra State government has directed all categories of schools in the state to ensure full resumption of academic activities on Mondays, warning that non-compliant schools will be shut down. The Commissioner for Education, Professor Ngozi Chuma-Ude, who disclosed this in a statement on Thursday in Awka, said that a circular conveying the directive had already been issued to school authorities. Professor Chuma-Ude noted that the order given at the instance of Governor Chukwuma Soludo applies to all public-private mission and return schools across the state. She warned that any school that fails to resume activities on Mondays will face immediate closure. This development follows the move by the Soludo administration to end the closure of schools, markets, and businesses on Mondays over the sit-at-home originally declared by the indigenous people of Biafra to protest the detention of their leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And recall that the Anambra State government has issued an executive order abolishing the closure of schools on Mondays over the sit-at-home, warning that any teacher or non-tutorial staff who fails to comply would either receive a 20% of their salary or forfeit it entirely. The National Chairman of the Commerce and Industry Correspondents Association of Nigeria, CSAN, Taiwo Hassan, has urged the federal government to urgently address the persistent policy inconsistencies hampering the growth of Nigeria's manufacturing sector. Hassan made the call while speaking at the 10th edition of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria Man Media Personality of the Year Award and Presidential Media Luncheon, held in Lagos and attended by the key stakeholders from the manufacturing sector, media professionals and industry leaders. Describing manufacturing as the life wire of Nigeria's economy, the CSAN chairman lamented that the frequent policy somersaults by ministries, departments and agencies have continued to disrupt manufacturers' operations, revenues and long-term planning. He noted that government policy inconsistencies have created profound challenges for local manufacturers, particularly at a time when industries are grappling with monumental economic pressures. Hassan emphasized that the manufacturing sector remains critical to economic transformation and GDP revitalization, pointing to recent gains recorded in non-oil exports. Citing the data from the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, he said that Nigeria achieved a $6.1 billion in non-oil exports in 2025, describing the figures as a significant milestone in the country's efforts to diversify its economy away from oil dependence. He commended MAN and its members for their achievement, stating that the progress underscored the sector's increasing contribution to national economic growth. Hassan also called for improved reward and recognition for industry journalists and reaffirmed a seasoned support for the Nigerians' first policy of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, pledging that the association would remain a reliable partner to MAN in advancing industrial development. We'll now take a short break. Where we'll come back, we'll take some stories in the foreign scene. Welcome back. In the foreign scene, clashes between Ethiopian federal government troops and Tigrayan forces have erupted in the country's northern Tigray, a region still devastated and impoverished from a full-blown war and more recent huge cuts in international aid. The fighting has triggered the suspension of flights. Security and diplomatic sources told an international news agency on Thursday. Hostilities broke out in recent days in some like western Tigray, an area claimed by forces from the neighboring Amhara region, the sources told the international media. And as preparation accelerates for the partial Israel's reopening of Gaza's Rafah border crossing, tentatively scheduled for Sunday, a simmering dispute has erupted between Egypt and Israel regarding which and how many Palestinians may leave and return. Many are seeking urgent medical attention that cannot be found in a healthcare system decimated by Israel in its more than 2-year genocidal war. And others want to reunite with family or pursue on education, and all put on hold because of the war. And according to the report by Israel's public broadcaster Kan on Wednesday, Israel negotiators have presented a condition regarding the flow of travelers, that the number of Palestinians leaving Gaza and entering Egypt through the crossing must exceed the number of those permitted to enter. We'll now take a short break. When we'll come back, we'll take some stories and sport. Welcome back in sport. A member representing Agege Constituency 2 in the 10th Lagos State House of Assembly, Jubril Ayodeji Abdul Karim, has emphasized the critical role of sports in youth development and nation building, calling for increased participation at all levels. Abdul Karim made this known while speaking with the journalists during the Run for Asiwaju mini marathon held in Lagos, where athletes, youths and sports enthusiasts gathered to promote fitness, unity and talent development. The lawmaker noted that sports remain a powerful tool for discovering talents, engaging young people positively and promoting a healthy lifestyle, particularly in an urban society like Lagos. And over 700 runners participated in the mini marathon, with the race drawing participants from Agege local government area and Orile Agege local council development area. The 4.8-kilometer race started at Agege local government secretariat through Pensinima Bridge, Okekoto, Oniwaya, Dokbemu and Agbotikuyo before ending at the Orile Agege Local Council Development Area Secretariat that had government functionaries, professionals, teachers, youths, women, the elderly traditional rulers, and persons living with disabilities participate in the mini marathon, which also attracted elite marathoners who completed full prize monies.
We are trying to put in place our youth to let them know that they need to continue exercising themselves. Exercising is part of what the body needs. So if your body is good, your brain will work as expected. It affects the brains and affects every entire activities of your body. And at the same time, we are using it as a sensitization for the e-registration that we are having presently. You know, we are having the e-registration showing that it is time for all to go and register for a progressive party.
To us in the local government, we believe if we can be able to mobilize our people together for this show of strength and ability, we can be able to bring ourselves together to show our support to the man that has done very, very well to the Nigeria. My advice to the general citizens of my local government, I'm the #1 citizen of the local government, is to sit there in supporting this administration and to support the government at the top, which is the federal government.
It's engaging. This is what governance is all about. Create create a space for people to engaging, and like you've seen it, we've been able to select 1 or 2 people, especially that girl that came first, did a good job. People like that, we're going to encourage them, we're going to bring them together and see how we can help them in their career as marathoners. We have about 700 plus people. We fell short, but I think it's not bad. We've been able to learn our lessons. Someone told us and said, Sunday morning is not the best time, so people are going to go to church. But when you don't try things out, you don't get to the finishing point you want to get to. Now we know it. But Nigeria is a bit hectic. You come out on a Saturday morning too, it's challenging. But we have to sit down on the drawing table and see what we can do to ensure that the next time we do this marathon, we move higher.
President Bola Tinubu has sent condolences to Super Eagles forward Samuel Chukwueze following the passing of his mother, Mrs. Sarah Chukwueze. In a statement issued by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the President extended his sympathies to the Chukwueze family and their friends, describing the loss as deeply saddening. President Tinubu urged the family to take comfort in the memories and legacy of their late matriarch, noting that the death comes shortly after the passing of the father of Super Eagles captain Wilfred Ndidi. He assured the family of his prayers during the difficult period and prayed that God Almighty grants Mrs. Chukwueze eternal rest. The Confederation of African Football CAF Disciplinary Board has handed down massive sanctions to both the Senegalese and Moroccan Football Federation following the chaotic scenes that overshadowed the AFCON 2025 final. Despite Senegal clinching the second continental title with a 1-0 extra time victory, the post-match headlines have been dominated by a litany of fines and bans aimed at addressing breaches of fair play, loyalty and integrity during the match at the Prince Moulay Abdel Stadium. Senegal faced the brunt of the disciplinary action, totaling over $715,000 in fines. The head coach, Pep Bourna Thiaw, has been suspended for 5 official CAF matches and fined $100,000 for unsporting conduct, specifically for leading his players in a temporary pitch walk-off to protest the controversial late VAR penalty awarded to Morocco. Additionally, players Iliman Ndiaye and Ismail Assar each received 2-match suspensions for their behavior towards the match officials. The Senegalese Federation, FSF, was further penalized $300,000 for supporters' misconduct and another $300,000 for the team's overall lack of discipline on the field. Morocco did not escape the board's scrutiny, incurring a total fines of approximately $415,000. The Moroccan Federation was fined $200,000 for the inappropriate behavior of stadium ball boys and $100,000 for players and staff who obstructed the referee by invading the VAR review area. Moroccan star Achraf Hakimi received a 2-match suspension, while the midfielder Ismail Saibari was handed a 3-match ban and a $100,000 fine. Despite these penalties and a formal protest from Morocco regarding the Senegalese walk-off, a CAF official dismissed the appeal and confirmed Senegal as the tournament champions. 24 teams have secured qualifications for the knockout phase of the 2025-26 Champions League. The 24 teams in the 2025-26 UEFA Champions League round of knockout phase playoffs are now known. The top 8 overall advances directly to the round of 16. The teams ranked 9th to 24th in the league phase will now go head-to-head in 2-legged playoff games to determine which 8 will progress as the unseeded sides for the last 16, where their opponents will be determined by who finishes where in the top 8. Which playoff sides already known from their league positions that will end up in one of the 2 parts, with the victors going through to the last 16. The top 8 teams, Arsenal, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, Tottenham, Barcelona, Chelsea, Sporting and Man City, have all qualified for the next round of the Champions League. And that's where we draw the curtain on tonight's news. I remain Victor Daniels. Good night.